It's the most magical time of the year, and I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm talking about the NFL season. So make sure you're ready with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Get the most live NFL games all in one place. Right now, you can save $85 when you bundle NFL Sunday Ticket with YouTube TV. Sign up today at youtubetv.com/Spotify. Device and content restrictions apply. Discount applied to first 4 months of YouTube TV, then $72.99 a month. Ends August 29th. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. No refunds.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Postgame Live. The Patrick Johnson game will live in infamy. Move aside, Tom Brady. The Patrick Johnson strip and fumble recovery gives the Eagles a 16-13 walk-off win, field goal by Jake Elliott. Man, Shane, football is so bad.
We are so bad. Can you imagine how different the reaction would be if this was like a regular season game that ended that way? I mean, I was Jake Elliott misses the field goal, and I started getting up out of the living room, gathering up my stuff to come in here for post game, getting ready to talk about a tie. And then you get the strip sack. Jake Elliott gets the redemption right away. What an end to the game, man.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was surreal, man. What a way to start off the 2024 season, guys. We have some new segments in the show. We're going to just do a quick offense and defense reaction. Then we're going to give you our player of the game. We're going to talk some winners and losers. We're going to talk, break this Eagles game down in 3 words or less and things like that. But real quick reaction, Shane. I mean, I think let's start with the good. I think Mekhi Becton played 1 drive at right guard and sat. I think it's pretty obvious he is now the starting right guard of the Eagles. The bad, I think, maybe, Shane, the Eagles made a mistake trading a 3rd-round pick for Kenny Pickett. The dude is clearly allergic to throwing the ball more than 10 yards down the field. I feel like every time Pickett threw the ball, it looks like what I do when I tap the button by mistake in NCAA 25 and the ball just like flops. It was ugly, man. The ball goes nowhere. That's a big no for me, man, on Kenny Pickett. In terms of first impressions. I thought Tanner McKee looked pretty solid in the pocket. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was nice to see him move the ball down the field. I thought Keely Ringo, first half, second half, was outstanding. It's really fun to think about how much the Eagles are just swimming in cornerback depth. You've got Slay, Ringo, Rogers, Mitchell. We haven't even seen Cooper DeJean yet. You got Maddox, you got McPherson. It's pretty sick when you think that Job and Ricks are like probably not going to make this roster. I thought the O-line play of this group was outstanding. The pulls that we saw from the group were top tier, and I thought the Eagles running backs had an overall very strong day in general. I also think seeing that many running backs eat on the Philadelphia Eagles is more of a straight-up testament to Kellen Moore and Jeff Stoutland. And you just start dreaming of what it's going to look like with Saquon Barkley and what he can do in this offense, man. I thought Stout had the O-line playing in midseason form. What was your reaction?
Yeah, I think the running game was fun to watch. I mean, it's not remarkable yards per carry, 3.8 yards per carry, but they rushed for almost 150 yards. And I thought there were some good moments. There were some bad moments. There was a lot of penalties in this game. I think the Eagles ended up having 8 penalties for 55 yards, which is never ideal. But it was fun to see some of the different guys, seeing Tyler Steen being used as a puller because he played a decent amount, and that's not something he did at tackle at Alabama, and now he's doing it at guard at the NFL level. So, it makes you feel a little better about Tyler Steen if he ends up needing to play. They highlighted on the broadcast that one really good play that Dylan McMahon had pulling Trevor Keegan. You saw him a little bit. So you saw some stuff from some of the young guys in the trenches a little bit. Receiver is a different thing. I didn't think we saw a lot from receivers today. I thought the receiving core looked pretty poor. Johnny Wilson looked good as a blocker. And that was really about it. Britton Covey caught a couple bubble screens and looked a little slippery. John Ross didn't separate at all, makes no effort to come back to an underthrown ball. And to be honest, I don't know the names of a lot of these backups that were in there with Tanner McKee, but they couldn't catch to save their life. So it's hard to evaluate McKee given what he was playing with, but I'm 100% with you on Kenny Pickett. He's got a noodle arm. You don't want Kenny Pickett. Like, you're exactly right. Kenny Pickett's passes look like in NCAA football when I start to press the receiver button to throw it, and then I see a corner like breaking on it, so I try not to push it, but I just lightly tapped it, and it just lobs this nice little moon ball up there on a 12-yard dig route for a corner to pick or something. That's what it looks like every time Kenny Pickett throws the ball. And again, I mean, Marcus Mariota looked awful last year in preseason. Kenny Pickett looks bad this year. I just want to see Tanner McKee play. Like, give Tanner McKee, and I would be surprised if you don't see McKee take the first reps next week.
Yeah.
Let him go out there with John Ross. Let him go out there with Will Shipley and with Grant Calcaterra and with Johnny Wilson and just see what you can do. I don't want to see starters. I was a little let down. The fan in me was let down at the start of the game when the Eagles starters didn't play because there had been a report they would. But it's the smart move. You shouldn't be playing starters really in these games. So I'm glad they didn't, even if I really wanted to see it a little.
Yeah, the one pass, the one throw that McKee made, I think it was like a slant to Jacob Harris. You saw the zip. You saw it like pop. And I felt there was a good portion of this game where receivers couldn't even create separation at all, and McKee was just hitting them straight in the chest. And that's what you want to see. Like Shane said, give McKee the good backups. Don't let him play with these these third and fourth stringers. Let's jump into the offense here. Going down the line, Kenny Pickett, 14 of 22 for 89 yards and a touchdown. Again, a lot of that was bubble screens, quick throws. Tanner McKee, 6 of 16. He did have a few drops from his teammates, 39 yards. Any thoughts on the overall quarterback play, but more so like what we saw from Kellen Moore?
I don't think you saw a ton from Kellen Moore in this game. There was a little bit of motion. It's vanilla. There was there's under center play action, that first touchdown pass to Will Shipley. So you can look for those little things, but I don't think you see a lot. I saw different personnel, different formations. We saw a lot of short passing. Kenny Pickett averaged 4 yards per attempt. Tanner McKee, 2.4 yards per attempt. So we don't want it that small, but we didn't see, 4 verticals every other play. So there was a big commitment to the run game. I don't know if that's because the receiver play was so poor. Or if that's something to see going forwards, or maybe they just like to match up there. But a lot of running the ball, passing the ball was real hit or miss.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on to receivers, I did like the touchdown pass to Will Shipley. That was a nice play. That's some of the stuff I hope we see come regular season. Let's get into the Eagles running backs. Kendall Milton finished with 9 carries. That's a lot more than I thought, because I don't think he played until late in this one. Will Shipley was awesome. He had 7 carries for 23 yards. But I thought he looked like he belonged, man. We talked about during the halftime show, the blitz pickup is exactly what you want to see from Will Shipley in terms of getting on the field alongside Saquon Barkley. I thought he looked pretty good in special teams as well. I know he made a tackle. He was returning some kicks. Any thoughts on Will Shipley?
Yeah, seeing him pass protect was huge. He had, a few good pass protection reps, and I thought that was one of the biggest question marks with him coming into the league. He's not a guy that has a lot of home run speed, but he's got really good vision. He's good catching the ball out of the backfield. The question is, how's he going to do in pass protection? And he checked that box tonight. So he had a couple times that he stepped up and took on a blitzing linebacker. There was another one where he chipped a defensive end. And so you love to see that, because for me, that's the thing I was pointing to, saying this is why I don't think that he will see the field a lot as a rookie. And he checked that box tonight. So he's still clearly behind Gainwell, because Gainwell played that first drive and was pretty well out. But, hopefully he can work himself into a backup timeshare with Kenny Gainwell.
I love the commitment to the run game tonight. That was start to finish. The Eagles finished with 13 rushing first downs in this one, 8 more than the Baltimore Ravens, and they owned the clock for over 37 minutes compared to the Ravens' 22. And that was the storyline of the first half. It was the storyline of the second half. Are we getting back to that 2022 football, man?
Well, if Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee are your quarterbacks, then yes, definitely.
What do you mean, man? If we play the Ravens backups, we're going undefeated this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And all it takes is, Jake Elliott missing a field goal and then immediately getting a shot at redemption. But yeah, you want to be able to run the football. I'm not going to pound the table. I've never been one of those pound the table and say run the football guys. But it's a nice tool to have at your disposal. And I thought the run game looked good, especially, considering the offensive linemen that the Eagles were working with.
All right, let's roll on to the receivers. Again, not a great game. John Ross leading the way, 3 receptions for 28 yards. Will Shipley had 1 for 7. We did have a couple quick slant routes to Grant Calcaterra, 2 receptions for 14 yards. Britton Covey, like you said, Shane, looked slippery on a couple of those quick throws as well. Not else a lot going on really with this group. Johnny Wilson looked good as a run blocker, but I don't really have anything else to add. I want to see more targets to Johnny Wilson. That's really the takeaway.
Yeah, that he only had 3 targets. He had the 1 catch, the one that was real high on the slant, and I can't remember what the third one was, but I'd like to see him more. The tight end, Kevin Folsch, I didn't even know who he was. Had to Google the depth chart, but that one-handed catch he had off of Tanner McKee, where he chipped, he check released on the defensive end and got out into the flat. That was a really good catch. That one was impressive. I clipped that one up and put it on Twitter, but I'd never heard of that guy. You get to the point in the fourth quarter where somebody makes a play and it's like, all right, I got to Google and see whose number that is, because it was the same way with Lou Nichols when he scored that touchdown. Had no idea who that was, but that's just what the preseason is. That's
what preseason's all about, man. It's like NBA Summer League. I have the Eagles roster on my browser, so it has the numbers listed, so you can just go and search who it is, because I'm right there with you. Like Tyrion Davis-Price and Folsch. Davis-Price and Folsch are like sound like a law firm or something like that. Like it's so weird. All right, let's roll on to the defense. Lots to talk about in this one. Led by Jeremiah Trotter.
Oh, wait. I have one more offensive thing.
Go for it.
Aniyah Smith.
Ooh.
He's not making the roster.
I tweeted that as well, man. He's done. He's cooked. He doesn't have it, man. He has no juice. Overall, I thought the Eagles rookies had a really great day, excluding Aniyah Smith.
Yeah, it's rough.
He just looks like a guy that's trying to move 5,000 times, but he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he looked slow. He fumbles the punt. That's a good way to have less reps. So you hate to see that, but reports out of training camp were not good about him, and he certainly didn't look good tonight.
Yeah, spot on. It's a shame, too, because I was a big fan of his out of Texas A&M, but here we are. All right, let's get into the defense led by Jeremiah Trotter Jr. We talked about him during halftime, but I thought he looked like he belonged. He's not an elite athlete, like we said, but He was filling gaps. He was around the football, and that's what you want to see. He had his sack. Any thoughts on Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
Yeah, his sack I thought was really impressive because it was, I think, a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, and he blitzed. And he initially got walled off on his blitz. He was trying to blitz the offensive guard, I think it was, pushed him outside. And Josh Johnson stepped up in the pocket and tried to scramble up the middle. And again, it's 3rd and 2, I think it was. And Trotter continues with the play and bounced to the inside, and he's able to bring Josh Johnson down and force a 4th down and get the defense off the field. That's a high-effort play. It'd be really easy, that you get stonewalled on that rush and just kind of stay locked into that offensive lineman and let it go. But that was an impressive play, and overall, I thought he popped. You noticed him on the field. He had a good special teams play. He looked like he belonged out there for sure.
Is he what we all thought Nakobe Dean was going to be?
Perhaps. I mean, it's hard to say after a preseason game, but I guess if you throw enough darts at undersized linebackers, maybe one of them will hit eventually.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about a guy that I thought was disappointing in the first half, but from the jump, Nolan Smith in the second half literally started it, had back-to-back tackles. One was a nice hit on a screen pass, nice little pop, tackle for loss. He had a sack shortly after, or right before that. What were your thoughts on Nolan Smith? Good to see him finally kind of make some noise.
Yeah, he had that sack, and that sack was pretty cool because Fangio had him walked out over the slot cornerback, and then had him walked out over the slot receiver, almost like he was a slot corner, and then he creeped in before the snap. It wasn't a great pass rush move by any means. Like the offensive lineman was late getting over, but Smith ducked. He had a good dip there and gets to the quarterback. And so you like to see that. But what I really liked was the next play. He's lined up at the top of the screen, and they run a screen pass to the bottom of the screen, and he's in on that tackle from that far away. And I mean, he has a high motor, and he's high effort every play. He's a guy that you just love to root for because he's got all the athleticism in the world. He's got the heart, the effort. It's just got to put it all together. And like you said, it didn't start well in the first quarter. He had some poor reps in coverage. He got stonewalled by some backup tackles. So it was nice to see him make some plays in the second half. It's not ideal that your first-round pick from last year is playing that late into the second half. But, all you can do is play the reps you're given. So hopefully Nakobe Dean is able, or excuse me, not Nakobe Dean. Hopefully,
Nolan Smith.
Hopefully Nolan Smith, thank you, it starts with an N. Hopefully Nolan Smith is able to put some things together and give the Eagles some good reps this year.
Yeah, the Eagles need him, man, to make a huge step in his development. We got Steve chiming in and says Trot Jr. is going to be hard, make it hard to keep him off the field. I like that take. I like it. Yeah, all right. There's so many guys to talk about on defense listed here. Where do you want to go next?
Let's talk on the defensive line. It was a little disappointing to me that the Eagles played their starters and blitzed as much as they did and didn't really get sacks in the first half. So that's something to keep an eye on. There's a lot of question marks on that defensive line. You lose Fletcher Cox. You lose Hassan Reddick. Josh Sweat really fell off last year. Is the pass rush going to be what we're used to? Now, it's not going to be what it was 2 years ago, 70 sacks and all that, but is it going to be a good pass rush unit? I don't think we necessarily saw that tonight in terms of sacks and pressures. But one thing I did notice, last year, Eagles defensive linemen had 7 total batted passes the entire season. They had 2 tonight. So it makes me wonder if that's been a coaching point, a point of emphasis. I think it was Jalen Carter had one really early in the game. Marlon Tuipulotu had one in the second half. It's one of those things, though. Like, if you're not going to get to the quarterback, just throw those hands up and good things can still happen.
Yeah. Rick says the more time Nolan Smith plays in the league, the better he'll get. He just needs the reps. He'll be fine. His athleticism and bend is just so elite, man. They just got to put him in position to succeed. How about Keely Ringo, man? Keely freaking Ringo only had 1 tackle in this game, but he had 2 pass deflections. There were several times I feel like when Josh Johnson and the Ravens were throwing at him, and I seemingly won pretty much every rep. Keely Ringo is a guy that is in competition for that CB2 role. We didn't really hear a lot about Isaiah Rodgers, maybe for better or worse. I'm not sure. Usually that's for better. But what was your thoughts on Keely Ringo, like kind of making some noise tonight?
Yeah, I thought Ringo looked really good. He gave up the one reception on the back shoulder ball, but that was perfectly thrown. It was really good coverage, just perfectly thrown ball, and you just tip your hat and move on, and he did. And later that drive, he breaks up the touchdown pass on third down in man coverage. I thought he played really well, and I had a first-round grade on Keely Ringo in last year's draft. He was number 24 overall on my board. I thought he was a good player. I understand why he fell out of the first round. It's ludicrous that he fell out of day 2 as well. And I kind of thought with the investment into corner, he would become a bit of an afterthought. I think he's very much in contention for CB2 this season. You saw some good things from Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell played less, which makes you think he's probably got the upper hand right now. But, Quinyon Mitchell should have had an interception. He had a couple other good reps in coverage. It's exciting to feel like the Eagles have a future at the position because Darius Slay is getting older. Obviously, you've got Cooper DeJean, who didn't even play tonight. You've got these two young guys, so they're not all going to hit. But if a couple of them hit, the Eagles could be in really good shape at corner moving forward for the first time and as long as I can remember.
Would you trade one or two of them to fill needs somewhere else?
I don't think so. Because, realistically, what are you going to get if you trade Keely Ringo? He was a 4th-round pick a year ago. He hasn't played a lot. You're certainly not going to trade Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean. So
no, definitely not. No.
If a team called me and offered me like a 3rd-round pick for Keely Ringo, they might offer that. I don't think that would be worth it for me, and I don't think you're going to get anything more than that. So I don't think so. I would keep him and just let him learn. And maybe you've got Ringo, Maddox. Maybe you've got Ringo and Mitchell and DeJean as a trio locked down for several years to come.
Rick says Ringo is the real deal, legit starting cornerback in this league. Looks good, man. Quentin says, what do you think about the new kickoff rules? Any thoughts?
It looks really weird on the TV.
It doesn't feel right.
They keep having to superimpose the kicker so it's on the same screen. I will withhold judgment for a preseason game. I honestly don't care, and I don't think it's going to I feel like every kickoff is still going to be at the 25 or the 30-yard line. I really don't think it's going to matter much. So player safety, I'm all for that. I don't think it's going to make a huge impact in games, but we'll see. Maybe it will.
Mm-hmm. Side note, Covey's going to make the 50. I agree. I think he's absolutely a lock. The return he had where he made 5 Ravens miss, that was
and then
really
got tackled by the punter and his own teammate. But yeah,
he's definitely a lock.
He's made the roster on return skills alone last year because he doesn't really play receiver. So I see no reason he won't do it again.
I know we're jumping the gun here, but we don't really talk about special teams that much. But when you look at Jeremiah Trotter Jr., when you look at Covey, and now you look at Jalix Hunt, who I thought looked really good on special teams, they've got some weapons, Shade, to really their special teams was arguably their strongest unit last year. Could it take a step forward this year?
Potentially. Man, you sure don't like seeing Jake Elliott miss a extra point and a field goal. Okay. But Elliott's proven that he's a good kicker over a long span. And when I think about special teams, that's what I really focus on, is that more so than anything else, because the difference in being the best returning team in the NFL and the worst might be 6 or 7 yards, but being able to knock in field goals and stuff. So we'll see on that. One other thing I didn't mention on the defense, but Avonte Maddox played some safety early in this game.
Cool.
I wonder if Avonte Maddox is going to see more run at safety than at cornerback. I think it's a lot harder for him to get on the field as a cornerback, considering all the guys we've been talking about. But you have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with an injury right now. You have Sidney Brown on the PUP list. You have Reed Blankenship, who is fine. I mean, he's a fine safety. He's not like a stud safety or anything. You're thin at safety. I know we're doing the whole James Bradbury trying to play safety thing. I don't think James Bradbury is a very good tackler. I generally don't think changing to safety because you lost your athleticism works real great. But Avonte Maddox played safety his rookie season, and he'd never played it in college. He played it his rookie season for Jim Schwartz, and I actually thought he did a good job then. I'm interested to see if they really lean into that, or if he's in contention for the slot role, or if slot/safety is just going to be so interchangeable for Fangio that you do it all. But I'm interested to see what they do with Avonte Maddox, considering the glut of talent in the cornerback room.
Yeah, that position versatility is something. It's a good problem. It's a good problem to have. That's what's so exciting about having Quinyon out there. I was excited when Ross Tucker was saying that he might play outside tonight. I don't think he did. I think he was strictly inside. But when you talk about like guys like Cooper DeJean and guys that can play all over the place, maybe even some hybrid linebacker in some respect, it's exciting, man. That's definitely, I think, where this Eagles defense and the direction needs to go. Rick says both of the Elliott misses were extremely close. He nailed a 50-yarder to win the game. He's working out the kinks in the preseason. They should just cut him, right, Shane? Just cut him right now.
No, never.
I'm just kidding.
Not my guy.
Yep. And a lot of the defensive backs will play. Absolutely agree, Rick.
Yeah. You mentioned Avonte Maddox playing outside. I don't need to see that. I've seen Avonte Maddox 29 and a half.
Quinyon.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Avonte. I was going to say 29.5-inch arms just don't play outside.
No, they were before the game started. Ross Tucker was talking about hyping up Quinyon Mitchell and said he's going to play inside and he might play outside, but I don't think he got that many snaps, and I only saw him on the inside.
Yeah, I think Quinyon Mitchell is an outside corner. That doesn't mean he can't play slot, and he may play slot this year just to get him on the field, especially if like Keely Ringo or Isaiah Rodgers takes hold of that CB2 role, and you want Mitchell on the field. But I think at his best, he's always going to be an outside corner.
All right, and then we get to Patrick Johnson, the star of the game. Maybe we'll get to him a little bit later, but he's one of those bubble guys. I think that's probably more out than in on making this roster. Did Patrick Johnson change your mind about him making the initial 53?
He didn't change my mind, but it was a big play. I mean, I don't think I have a firm opinion on whether he makes the roster or not. I don't think you put too much emphasis if you're a coach that's making those decisions on a guy getting a strip sack against like a third string tackle taking his first snap of the game. But it is a big play and a big moment, and it made for a fun ending of the preseason game. So I love that for him. As far as it moving the needle for whether he makes the 53 or not, I think far more that's going to be determined over the next couple weeks.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to add before we get into player of the game?
I think we've about covered it.
Yeah, we're 27 minutes into this thing. Let's get to player of the game. All right, player of the game, Shane. Lead us off, man. Who are you taking?
I mean, I'm going to take Patrick Johnson. We just talked about him, but the Eagles do not win that game if Patrick Johnson doesn't get that strip sack at the end. Jake Elliott with his own version of the double doink tonight, doinks an extra point and then doinks that 50-yard field goal. Patrick Johnson comes in off the bench and gets it right back to him for a 49-yard game winner. So I'll say Patrick Johnson is my player of the game.
Rick is saying, well, Shipley, that's a really good one. This is tough because Ryan was supposed to be here, and I'd feel more comfortable if he was here to get one more in because someone's going to get left out. And I thought there were some really nice moments. I got to go Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I got to. Like, the status of the Eagles linebacker position, by far one of my biggest concerns heading into this season. And if he is legit, as we saw tonight, that changes the script a little bit. So give me Jeremiah Trotter Jr.'s first game making some noise on defense, on special teams. Maybe he gets a lot more playing time than I thought he was. Quentin with the winner, the run game. Maybe go Jeff Stoutland.
I knew you would like that. I knew you would love that, calling a player of the game something that's not a player. Yeah,
that's what I do. I wouldn't go with an Eagles running back because they were all great tonight. Very good to great tonight. Yeah, I'm going Trot for Ryan. If you're watching, that one's for you, man. That game was for you. So let's get into our grades for this year. A to F, Shane. How would you grade tonight's performance?
Are we grading overall the team as a whole?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll give it like a B.
I think B is really fair. Rick chimes in as B. I loved seeing McKee get in there, move the ball down the field a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is all about some of the guys we're hoping take their game to the next level, and we saw it. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Nolan Smith, Keely Ringo, Trevor Keegan, I thought looked awesome. Mekhi Becton, we'll see what he's all about moving forward. Looks like he's got it on lockdown, but I thought in general there was some very good positives. I think B is a really good one. Quinn says Team B.
See, Quentin's always breaking the rules. You just said it had to be a team grade, and then he throws in Elliott on his own. So, tisk, Quentin.
All right, and then our final segment is a new one. Eagles game in 3 words or less. Let's get it. Oh, all right. Sorry. All right. Eagles game in 3 words or less, Shade. Where you going?
Yeah, so every week we will put out from the Eagles Pin Pull Network account, which if you guys are not following on Twitter, go do that at Eagles Pin Pull. We will put out a plea for your reaction to the game in 3 words or less. Did we shamelessly rip it off of BG and radio? Rest in peace. Yes, we did. We're the replacement now, so here we go. We put it out, and we only got 1 response tonight, which, it's a preseason game. People are still finding us, so if you only get 1 response, the odds are that one's going to make the show. So we got Shrek on Twitter, said rookies played well, and I totally agree with that one. So the rookies did play well. You guys be sure, as you're watching games, cook up your 3 words or less. You can drop them into the comments there, and we will be sure to get those out on the show. Deibs, did you have a 3 words that you wanted to give?
I'm on the spot. I'm going to go with my take during halftime, and we're going to just roll it into postgame. It's Tanner number 2. And it's got to be Tanner McKee as the number 2 quarterback going forward. Don't let him play with the bums again preseason week 2. Let him play with the Johnny Wilsons, the Will Shipleys, the second string offensive line. Tanner McKee is a much better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was even overthrowing Johnny Wilson, who is 10 feet tall. I don't want to see it anymore. Kenny Pickett is as mid as it gets. He's got a noodle arm. He's accurate. He can escape out of the pocket a little bit, but he's as average as it gets. He's an average quarterback. Give it to Tanner McKee, who's got some upside. He's got an electric arm, and he can move the ball down the field. Tanner number 2 is my 3 words or less.
All right. My 3 words or less is skip 3 weeks. Let's nobody get injured.
Yes.
No more game-winning field goals at 10 o'clock at night in a preseason game. Get me to week 1 not at the Packers, versus the Packers in Brazil. That is what I'm here for. So skip 3 weeks. Now you understand, listeners. I don't mean skip 3 weeks of our podcasts. I mean just get me to the regular season. I can't wait. Let's throw to a couple more that are coming in live here on the stream. Rick says there is hope. Absolutely, there's hope for this season. Carlton says we are back.
I love that. That's the winner. I like that the most. It's football. It's Eagles. Like, it's just feels so good that football is back. I don't even know if he was trying that. We'll see. Pickett sucks. Absolutely. Final thoughts, Shane. Plugs. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Final thoughts is it's like Carlton said here. We're back. It's fun to be back. It's fun to talk about football, even if it's a sloppy version. We'll get that build up. I just want to shout out all the viewers that are here. 400 of you guys watching live at 11:15 for a preseason postgame show. Deibs and I will be on halftime and postgame for nearly every game this year. There'll be some other people joining us for postgame shows, so you guys be sure and tune into those. Go follow that Eagles Pin Pull account so you can get your 3 words in. And check out wherever you're streaming your podcast. Go to Eagles Pin Pull. We're going to have 6 shows a week for you guys. We're going to have post-game shows. We're going to have Birds of the Round Table, Chalk Talk. My show with Johnny on the Shane Page is going to be on there. Later this month, we're going to launch Armchair Scouts, which is our draft show alongside the college football season. And then we'll have Eye on the Enemy on Fridays. So you guys will basically have a show a day all throughout the season. Keep it locked in there. I know a lot of you guys were bummed when BGN Radio went away. We're trying to build something here that can kind of be a replacement for that. So you guys go check that out if you have not. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Y'all know what to do.
Yeah, just so much content coming. I'm planning on doing interviews with opposing teams' podcasts. I've already done one with the Green Bay Packers guest who was unbelievable. Really broke down the X's and O's of the Packers and their offseason and matchups to watch there. So we're already lining up some things in advance for you. This Sunday, I'll be doing a top 10 linebacker ranking for the 2025 NFL Draft. Shane, it's greasy. Oh, man. It's not a great group. And, like, there's probably 75% of them are, like, day 3 guys. I know it's early, but it's not great. So be on the lookout for that. And, of course, Birds of the Round Table, we'll be talking much more Eagles versus Ravens. I'll be dropping highlight reels and fun things like that tomorrow all day long. He is Shane, at Shane Half NFL. Go give him a follow. Best Eagles follow there is, period. If you're not following him already, I don't know what you're doing. You're doing it wrong. And then I'm Deibs, Mr. Crockpot for Shane, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.